have the natural object versus so the title itself meaning no describe. So we know that the natural object is in and versus in an artwork one. So when we say natural object, something no that is natural, it's in made of nature, no that no one is intervened, is no one is worked within, no or worked by a man. When we say artworks, it's something to do with are involved with and skills and creativity. It involves something of human beings na intervention in making of no of something. So that is why in the criteria or in the message of the first bulleted one, we have works of art can express of ideas or feelings, but nature cannot, no, as compared to. Because as we all know, as we go along, that we know an artist and artisan, an artwork, no, is came from in an ideas or feelings, emotion that evoke and convey to such a meaning of an artworks no, that being made by this person. And most importantly, that the works of art, it's made of creativity that is made of something that makes them beautiful and unique no, from many of an artists that we have. And nature cannot because it doesn't have meaning, it doesn't have an idea of putting up feelings and ideas and emotions, no, because it does have any and and a way of an expression. So unlike other no from artworks that we have, like what do by an artist. And then to have more, we have work of art is like sentences, but unlike natural objects can mean something. Yes, because works of an art as I described no an a part no dun sa part ng work of art, something to do with the evoking of something and conveying one. Unlike in the natural one, it cannot mean something that could no describe more the expression of his own self, no, as the nature no na meron tayo. And at this point, we have can perhaps be better put another way, the works of art like sentences, no, in making into some of expression because it's a work of art that sabi din dito, unlike natural objects, can embody communicative intentions that could be seen no in the way of such yung how we perceive, how do we look no that the nature that possess into no. Hindi ko naman sinasabi the literal does not have any feelings of ideas. But to tell you more about the artworks, it is more and deepened understanding of an expression of ideas of the inner feelings of some individuals or individuals alone. But this some embody communicative intention of the natural objects. It is on the way of such of natural, no, like what we have intention. It is natural, no, our expression. But the way of the natural objects no, itself, it is only a superficial how do we look no on the sight no or the looks is. Kaya nga sabi natin yung mga breathtaking sceneries, breathtaking looks of an natural resources, no, it is because of the beauty itself that he made no alone as the year goes by. So next is work of art can imitate nature. So we know that from the philosophical aspect of the study of how he attempt to explain no, the art no as in philosophy no discipline. So Aristotle he mentioned that yung ating art is an imitation no, it's a copy as they what they describe to. That yes, everything that we do no in work of art like what we have no in the sense of ways of presenting of art like yung ating realism no, it's a way of attempt of making no and imitating no a picture of like what we have right now in a sceneries or the subject of. So that is a copy of nature that we can use no and to be make as our own subject matter. And this art can be uploaded for doing so for you as an artist or artisan in making a craftsmanship no na tinatawag natin. But nature cannot imitate nature as alone no because uh, can you imagine or can you see a thing or a nature that can copy his own a nature itself? So, di ba, wala naman. So, to make it sure that we can see things in a copy of an imitated one is it a work of art. Like what we have right now, yung mga uh, places natin, mga leisure park, yung mga artificials na meron tayo. So these are an imitation of the work of the nature that we have. And yung mga works naman ng nature alone, yung nature lang itself, cannot imitate because of it doesn't have any involve of creativity, skills, doesn't involve any kind of an idea of the artist, kasi sila lang alone, as the nature itself. So we have the characteristics of an artwork. So when we say characteristics of an artwork, it best described to the following of this description that we have. So they are man-made. Just like what I said, no, an artwork, it is involved of the skills. It is involved a person who do know an image of an art, or whether it's an art form it is, na meron sila. And the man-made is, it involves creative, it's an expressive. It is made of the feelings of how do we express yung emotions na in the depth one they have. That everyone has a characteristics of universal. As like what you said, our answer on the activity 2, that I impressed, would you imagine yung mga sagot ng mga nanay, kuya, ate, mga friends ninyo are very intriguing to me na to make it sense of universal na, everything that been seeing on your surroundings, on your place, on your experience are being universal and both experience with these following people as they interview, itong mga bawat individual na to. So, as I go along with the other sections, ganun din, yung mga nakita ko, they are universal. They come from the different places and region of this country, dito sa Philippines. So, you imagine nyo, yung universality and use of the different region in making of art too. That everyone knows this one, So, kahit na taga-ibang lugar, hindi taga-Luzon, taga-Panay, o taga-Visayas and Mindanao, so they can still know the artworks of other artists from the Luzon and works of the Mindanao that known also by the Taga-Luzon, diba? And others. And we have united, like what they said, or what they've been answered, doon sa interview ninyo. Nakakatuwa, they are being united tong works natin that we have. Sabi nila, tong work natin is lahat ng to bagay na nakikita natin sa bawat araw-araw natin. Yung art na to na nakikita natin, it's a kind of our part of the daily lives na hindi natin siya matatanggal. At kung sasabihin natin na walang art, it is plain, that we have. That everyone become united because of this kind of way of expression of meaning of the arts that they have in their lives, in making sense of, let's say, being creative, in the way of making different things in their house, or whatever it is, what they do in their lives, even the choice of the lifestyle, the choice of what they will be wear, or the choice of what will be used, on that day, and even the other days that we have. And they are diversified, in making sense of iba-iba yung mga tao that diverse. We are composed of a diverse, multicultural, an aspect that we came up. That hindi lang tayo a race of a Filipino or a Malay, but we came from a different one, So merong mga from half and half na kilala tayo and mga Pilipino and etc. That can see that the artwork is iba-iba man, but at the same time how they share and appreciate the works of art, diba? Sabi nga na isa sa question na what type of Philippine art are you familiar of? Sabi nung isa is the Mona Lisa. Comment ko naman. So to make it sure, you have to validate your answer with your the type of questions that set in the activity, Kasi medyo malayo. Philippine art, this is not a Philippine art. This is a form of art from the foreign country. So diversified, iba-iba. But it's up that the artworks and characteristics is well known. And together on that one, the story and the appreciation of the different art forms in the world, in the regions in the world that we have. Diversified, iba-iba ang way, iba't ibang art forms. Sabi nung iba, what Philippine arts are familiar of, iba-iba din. Hindi lang painting, hindi lang wood carving, hindi lang art of singing, yung OPM. We have many art type of works. And they are creative. They are expressive, Sabi nung iba, buhay ko na ang art. Nakakatawa naman yung nanay. Kasi she is a music teacher or a art teacher, parang sa high school or elementary. I do not know, hindi niya naman na-mention, sabi ng mother. Sabi niya, ang buhay niya ay ang buhay niya, araw-araw nang may kasamang art at laging continue. So the way of, he mentioned on that one, an expression, na expressive way. So in the way of teaching or formulating of this discipline ng kanyang academic, naibibigay niya yung expression niya on how to teach na yung music, yung other art forms of the arts that they have, and etc. So in such a way, yung expression niya, expressive natin, na ipuput natin yung sarili natin, yung inner feelings natin in the make to, in a beautiful one. So, parang teacher na nagtuturo to make it very reliable and reliant yung kanya mga sinasabi to make it relevant. So dapat yung expression niya, expressive niya na ginagawa niya, that will be make an idea of a picture that is tangible. That expression is na ipapahiwatig niya na maayos, nasasabi niya na maganda. Yun yung expressive dapat, di ba? You are showing your expression, your emotion. So therefore, I must know first and I must perceive the real meaning of what you're talking to or your expression of the art. So next is they are creative. In every aspect of the art that we're making too is we integrate creativity or creative word. In each way of making of art, that creative itself. Sabi ko nga, it's a process of creativity of making of an art. Yung una-unang discussion natin, ang lahat ng art, it involves a creative manner of such a way of doing an art. So many things, no? So kaya nga meron tayong audience, meron tayong performance, in such a way of how they interpret and how they will understand better, no, the characteristics of an art. So lahat ng works that we have is creative, no? Biruin nyo, hindi mo naisip pero naisip niya. Creative, di ba? Biruin nyo yung mga bagay that you do not know and at the end of the day, you will see and imagine na, uy, this is something that's creative that I don't think no first at all. And would you imagine this individual or this person made this one, no, for us, etc. Yan. Next is they are beautiful. No? They are beautiful because it possesses no, something that brings joy, happiness, and delight no, to our eyes. And as a form of entertainment also that the artworks no, as a characteristics that they have or possess too. So everything that in the world, no, in our surroundings is beautiful, no, this type of arts. But it depends on how we judge and how we appreciate things, no, in the manner of how is it presentable, how is it catchy to your eyes, how is it no, appreciable to yourself, no, or does it have mean of sentimental ones? It has many no, characteristics no, that you want to put on them. Next, we have why artists produce artworks. We believe that the making of an artwork is not only on that one. So, itong lima na to, that why artists produce artwork, it's not limited on that one. You can still put and add more. So, number one, why artists produce artwork to better understand, sabi dito, they are expressing their emotions and thoughts, no, the real or imaginary, like what other people in their imagination or real art. Let me stop in yung mga art being chosen as a masterpiece, no, that one of his familiar Filipino art forms, no, that because of the excited feelings that he tried to explain to, and these are the sensations that come first in her mind or in his mind. So literally, ito yung pinagawa kong assignment sa kanya that I wanted to him no, to become as sincere in making of explanation of an art. So what comes first in their minds and their impressions, and then without any reading of the description of the arts that described from the O by Richard Gomez. So yun yung nakita na I appreciate no, the works of this person, and you're such a creative no, and smart person in my subject. So I congratulate you kung dito ka man sa subject na to. Next is there is a universality that is inapplicable to the work no, of the everyone in the world. Just like at what I said na in the creativity or in the characteristics of an artwork. There is an universality that everyone is that kind of form of art is useful and applicable to everyone, no, and etc. No, etc. that we have. Next, we have example the Good Samaritan that has an embody of universal truths or a permanent momentary value that makes such as a good an example of a good no and a person or with compassion one with one another no in the individual one that we have. So next is the magnitude, something with a wide ground no, of the subject matter, and how is it being understand, no, and making, no, in a depth, no, to make it understand, no, better yung kanyang picture of a an art forms. Next, it should be four, yung craftsmanship. I forgot to change. So, yung craftsmanship, it's the way of how we creating. So, alam naman natin yung craft, it's a making of skills. We are creative. No, we are artists and artisans. That's why we have craftsmanship in making how is it way, no, to look at and judging of an artwork should be possessed, no, that number one, sabi dito, does the artist no understand his craft in making of? Solo niya ba? Alam niya ba yung technique, yung medium, yung use? So kung alam niya, di hindi sana siya na mali. Alam niya kung paano i-combine and i-mix yung mga yun. Tama? So meron tayo mga ganyan minsan sa kanta. Wag mong kukulutin diyan kasi hindi tama yan. Dahil yan ay mahirap, di mo marireach yung ganitong tone and hindi akmayan sa ganitong type of voice that you have. Diba? You are yan ay soprano way. Diba? You are a tenor. So, diba? Very different, no? And is this work is workmanship sounds? Is it good or a bad one? Or make it sense of a beautiful to our eyes? Is it sounds that would be unhelpful? Is that sounds to be appreciative, no? And will be benefit to everyone. So many things, no? And the sounds of workmanship too. And then is it the work is good or taste or poor one? So differently, no? Kaya nga sabi ko lagi sa kanya, the beauty will always, no, be different, not to each perspective of a person, because our eyes, no, will be satisfied by our own expectations, yung mga needs in our lives. So kaya nga sabi kasabihan, the beauty is in the eye of the beholder, in the making sense of, diba? It differs kasi sa meaning, sa value, sa kanyang mga perception, and the way how is it, no, being achieved, no, yung kanyang ginawa sa part na yon in judging of an art. Again, we are a judge here, no? Wag tayong judgmental, but we have to see on the both sides, no, in making of a criteria of how to grade, no, on such an art thing that we have. Is it work is an artful? Yes, everything that work of art that made, no, is artful or beautiful. They are creative and expressive in making sense. But then again, it should be shown and should be emphasis, no. It should be na makikita natin. It should be seen, no, in the picture of an art that we have. So, it's an artful, then yes, it is creative. It's beautiful. That's why you won, diba? You won the prize. You won the competition, and you are unique, and no, diba? At ikaw yung nanalo in the competition one. Next, we have the painting, the elements of visual arts. So, in the visual arts, we have the different forms. No, the first one we have line. So, when we say line, it's an art by a point moving in space. So, we know that line. So, sa mathematics, we have the line, di ba? We have yung dotted line natin, pwede maging infinite na yan, or maging finite na tinatawag, dire-diretso. But it could be an horizontal or vertical, no, diagonal, no, or oblique one, no, or zigzag one. So, it could be, no, maybe, no, it could be meaning something if you want to describe to. Next is a shape, no. We know that the shape is something with the weight, the height and the width that we have. So the dimension of the shape that we have could be a spherical, it could be, no, a shape with a volume width. Kasi sa form yan dadating yung sinasabi kong with spherical na examples and with a volume. So tingnan natin siya, ito yung magiging itsura niya in the form. So an element of the form that will can be seen, no, in the examples is the cube, the spherical or pyramid, no, and the such that we have. Yan yung pwede natin makita. And they have also yung value. So I have already discussed this one. Sabi ko nga sa inyo, yung value is the lightness and the darkness of the tones. And white is the lightest, black is the darkest. And halfway of that one is a middle gray we have. So kasi wala naman talagang such color of white and black. Okay? So if you're going to describe on that one, wala talaga. Then you have to research on them, no? Then for the next meeting natin, kung sakasakali man, tingnan natin na isa, pero hindi pa naman ngayon yon, mga next meeting pa, medyo matagal pa. Have to look, no, sino ba itong mga naka-invento at nakaalam ng kulay, at ano itong mga to sa likod ng mga to, no? Yung mga primary, secondary, monochromatic, no, and tertiary, and how is it being evolved and how is it being used. Kasi very important, no, itong color na to. And ano yung mga neutral colors na yan. So titignan natin yan na Yung mga warm and cool colors. Next, the space. The space is within the, alam niyo yung picture of a painting, di ba? Minsan, yung background niya sa top, sa pinakataas, no? Merong pwedeng sabihin natin clear, pero in between, meron nakalagay lesser, bago sa pinakababa, we have many of objects or designs that being encrypted or hindi naman encrypted, but being draw on that one. So it differ on the space, no? Or each sides that we have. So pwedeng may laman yung in between o wala, pwede yung top is meron or yung bottom ay wala, or yung each sides ay meron o wala. It differs on the sides that we have. Okay? Next is the color. We know that the color is an element, no, to put no an idea, making of sense. But sabi nga ni Immanuel Kant, no, it does have any many meaning sa color. So I contrary with the the notions of the color. But color is something with you. It is the name of the color. When we say values, it is the lightness and the darkness of the color. It is the black or the white that we added. And when we say intensity, it is the brightness, yung shine niya, yung purity that we have. Kaya sabi dito, we have high and low because color is strong. Diba? It could shine because it is strong or bright. Medyo shiny yung color niya, medyo strong yung color niya or bright. Maybe it's a faint or dull because it is hindi siya ganun ka-shine or lesser yung kanyang pagiging shiny. No, that is why lesser or low intensity yung ginawa mong way of quality of the picture. Just like what we have in the multimedia arts that have we edited our mga photos. No? And the texture, it's something to do how we touch and we feel of the uncertain thing. Could be smooth, rough, or rugged, or hard, no? Or whatever it is, no, as you perceive or as a texture you touch, no, or you feel. Okay, that's